morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Friday, February 7th, 2025. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Happy Friday, everyone. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. The non-farm payroll number just came out, coming in a little lower than expected, 143K jobs versus a 169K estimate. Last month's numbers were upward revised to 307K jobs. So that's the number that's come out here pre-market. We've seen a reaction in both directions, but mainly to the downside, at least in the opening minutes here after the report was released. And you're seeing a little bit of a failed high at the previous session's highs develop here, with price pushing back toward the previous day's midpoint. After the Monday G-Squat strong low here, we've seen higher highs and higher lows day over day, but clearly the momentum has waned here over the last day plus. And while we're still seeing strength overall, this market kind of remains trapped within the boundaries of that compression that continues to develop here. You know, you have this compression here with the lows coming across those pivots here. You have the high end of the range here, kind of an ascending triangular pattern here. And what I mentioned before is, while we could see strength within the range here, there could be more chop in here until we're ready to see expansion through the top, you know, through 6160, 6200, or through the bottom 5950, somewhere in here. Until then, we could see a little bit more back and forth price action as this market continues to develop here for the next big move. This market remains in a very clear uptrend on the longer term basis here. Short term uptrend here for the week, but building energy here kind of on a medium term basis within these extremes. So we could see a little bit more back and forth here, still with an upward bias overall, but if we fail through 5950, that could finally open up the lower part of the previous quarter's range. From a day's perspective here today, keep an eye on the previous session's highs. Through that level opens up a little bit more upside, and a failure to hold the intraday midpoint here from the previous session could open up an outside day down briefly at the very least, and we could finish the day here within range of a 2-day compression, still with an upward bias until proven otherwise. Looking at the NQ, you'll notice right here the NQ looking very similar to the ES. Higher highs, higher lows throughout the week. Strong G-Squat low on a Monday, and that's led to new highs here on a Friday, but still stuck within the overall compression here that continues to build out. You have this upper level, you have the lower level somewhere in here, and you can kind of see how this thing has just been developing within those boundaries. We could see this thing turn right back down next week and build here. It looks like 21.6 is kind of that midline, building a little bit above, a little bit below, and at some point here, expansion could trigger a major wave of price discovery, whichever way we go. Likely to the upside here, but it has we have seen opportunities here where a downside break has led to sizable pullbacks here, like we did at the beginning of Q3 last year. That could be a similar pullback that we see up ahead. So still building right now. It's been very, very range bound to begin the year so far, and that could persist here, especially into next week. We've had a very bullish week here this week behind the strength of the G-Squat low here on Monday. Higher highs, higher lows into Friday here. This next week kind of a pullback week for this market. So we'll continue to see how this develops, especially if there's an inability to push beyond 22K. Looking at crude oil, this one's up 0.6% right here, but still trading sub 72s. Still trading sub 72s. This is still a market that is very opposite to equities right now. Strong G-Squat high on a Monday, and we've seen lower highs and lower lows throughout the week. Bit of an inside day developing here today with a downward bias, and a failure to hold 70.9 today really could open up a rotation downward back to the day's lows, back to new lows below. 72 continues to be the key level here to watch overall. If this thing fails to recover 72s, we're headed lower toward that 66 to 67 zone down below. And if we do get there, it'd be a tremendous area to defend for a return to 72 and likely 78 up ahead as this thing rallies into June and the early part of July. So still trending down until proven otherwise here for crude oil. Looking at gold futures, up 0.3% right now, continues to hold near that 2,900 level. The previous session with a failed new low. In an uptrend, continues to be very, very bullish overall. Any pullback here, even a pullback that's as deep as the previous month's close, could still be a buying opportunity as this thing continues to work higher toward 3,000 on the long-term basis here. We could be looking at 3,000 as a target anytime over the next several weeks, but it could get there relatively quickly as well. The move between 2,800 and 2,900 took all of 5 days when it was ready to go. So this thing could surely get there by the end of the month. And again, any pullback could still be a buying opportunity as this thing continues to work higher toward that target. Looking at the YM right now is showing a bit more weakness against the ES and the NQ. All of them are kind of pulling back off the NFP highs right now, but this one's already below the previous session's midpoint. Inside day, you can see how much it turned down off the previous quarter's high yesterday. Barely missed out on getting a new all-time high. And the volatility much higher in the YM here against the ES and the NQ this week. Very strong G-squat low, higher highs, higher lows. Today, though, currently trading mostly below the previous session's midpoint. Previous session's close going to be important here early. A failure to hold 44,795s could open up a retest at the previous week's close at 44,700 and perhaps below that as well. This one's coming up right to resistance here, and so again, it's going to take a transition day to really open up new highs up ahead. Otherwise, we're kind of stuck between 45,227 and the recent Monday low of 44K. That's been the zone here for the last few weeks, and we could see another rotation back down within that range in the following week. Looking at Bitcoin up about 1.4% right now. This one has not really followed through from Monday's strong low. It has held near the midpoint of that range throughout the week. It has held right around the 100K level throughout the week, which is the center of this 20,000 point range. The demand for this one has really kind of waned here recently, but pullbacks into support have been heavily defended for this one. And again, if there is a breach of that support, say into 85 or maybe even lower, 75, between that zone, that could be a tremendous buying opportunity up ahead for this market. Until then, we're kind of stuck in the 20,000 point zone, building energy for the next forthcoming expansion move. Looking at Ethereum, 1.8% higher right now. This one looks very similar to Bitcoin this week. After the strong reversal on Monday, it's kind of just stuck near the middle upper portion of that day's range, but still way off the highs from December's highs there. Way off the highs, significantly lagging behind the strength and at least the holding ability of Bitcoin at the moment. But these lows here are tremendous lows here that continue to be defended, especially over the last 15 months or so. This has been a very strong area of support. And to be able to see this rejection off that level would suggest that bulls continue to defend that area. And even if we get a lower low failure here, it could still be a tremendous area to defend. So 2,200 continues to be significant support. We mentioned before that 5,200 could still be the major upside target based off of this key range and based off of market structure. So this zone right here could still be a tremendous opportunity on a longer term basis, but right now this market needs above 3,000 in a big way for bulls to come back. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out heading into the rest of the session. Happy Friday. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.